In this video, I would like to propose that there is a new kind of slavery entering the world. Not slavery with chains and whips, but a slavery of the mind. If a man has within himself the soul of a slave, will he not become one, no matter what his birth? That's from The Richest Man in Babylon, from a story about a guy named Sharu Nada, who is born a free man, but ends up a slave. In the story, he joins a group of robbers, got caught, and was sold into slavery after his leaders were executed. But while he was a slave, his master's wife told him this quote one night. He realized that he wasn't a slave because he was captured, but he became a slave because of his own choices. Now, obviously, I am not a slave, and I can't begin to imagine what it would be like to actually be a slave. But the story did make me ask myself, do I have the soul of a slave? Are we allowing someone else or something else to tell us how to think, how to behave, how to act? Now, obviously, I would rather scroll on TikTok for 12 hours a day than be stacking bricks and being whipped for not working fast enough. But we live in a first world country, so we are talking about a first world problem. Did you know that the average screen time in the US is up to 7 hours a day? Think about that. That's like half of our waking time spent on screens. Why are we spending so much time on these things? Because social media and gaming are like drugs. Gosh, I sound like a boomer. It really is those dang phones corrupting our youth. But technology is obviously getting better at a compounding rate. So if you think like for most of history, we were here basically at zero as far as technology goes. The pyramids before that were probably like up here, but then we dropped to zero. And then the 1800s with the Industrial Revolution is where the curve probably started, and the world started changing rapidly, and now we're probably close to like that vertical part of the curve because of AI. I think this is a good thing. Most people can agree that this is probably the best time to be alive. We tend to fantasize about the past, but every metric, including crime or quality of life, is way better than it ever has been in history. I love technology. I'm not making this video to bash technology or to encourage you guys to become Amish or anything like that. I have a Tesla. I do not have a Tesla. When I was a kid, I loved video games. And one day, when I was like 14 years old, I was an absolute unit in Call of Duty. So picture this. I'm playing Call of Duty. I'm probably like 5 hours in, and I'm wrapped up in my camo comforter. I have my fingers are stained orange from Cheeto dust, and I'm absolutely humiliating people online. In my mind, at this point, I was living the dream. For whatever reason, when my parents came home that day, I had an existential crisis. I just started like crying, and I was like really chubby at this point. And I had this realization that I had gone from loving sports, being pretty athletic and full of energy, playing soccer, doing handstands, doing gymnastics, all this kind of stuff. I realized in this moment at 14 years old that I had become basically a fat, lazy kid, zero excitement for the real world or going outside and doing stuff. And basically, I broke down crying, started yelling at my parents and blaming them for letting me get to this state. My dad, being from a not so soft generation, looked at me and he said, Caleb, this is nobody's fault but your own. And this made me actually feel a sense of relief for whatever reason, because I agreed with him in my mind, even though I was really upset. And I realized that I was the reason that I got into this situation. And it made me a little bit hopeful. And that was probably the best thing he could have said, because it made me realize that if I was the one who did all the stuff to get chubby and not be excited, have no energy to play sports or anything, then I could do something to get myself out of it. Why did I get to that point where maybe from the age of like 9 years old to 14, I had just gotten increasingly more lazy, played video games all the time? Here's the point. Gaming and social media, they're not just distractions. They're designed to hijack your brain's reward system basically making you feel accomplished. AI is taking things to a whole nother level. Remember when you were scrolling on YouTube in like 2015 and it took work to find interesting videos? And sometimes you could be on YouTube and just sitting there seeing a bunch of videos that you're not that interested in. And if you didn't know people to search up or whatever, it was hard to stumble upon things that were extremely interesting. Now, the algorithm sends you banger after banger. Algorithms on social media and YouTube and the sort happened without us even really realizing that that was AI. And I think that was AI's first introduction into the realm of social media or anything like that. But imagine when AI is applied to gaming in a really real way, it's going to be so much more immersive. You're never going to run out of games that are exactly what you want. And you're probably going to be able to like design games that you want to play exactly how you want to play them. And the possibilities and the immersion will be like a billion times more realistic than what we have right now. Okay, I have a little prediction. So you know how streamers make like millions of dollars from playing video games and recording themselves? I think that with AI entering gaming and the abundance of wealth that's going to be created through robotics or AI entering the workforce, AI carrying out online jobs and all that kind of stuff, I think that people are going to be paid a lot of real money and get real rewards from just playing the game. So I think instead of someone being a streamer, essentially, the evolution will be you can actually just play our game and you will make real money, like substantial money in the real world, just from spending time in the game. People who don't enjoy the real world enough already are going to have a hard time saying no to that. People are going to basically live in the sim and not want to live their real life because their real life might be deteriorating. But who knows? Maybe it'll be some sort of balance that everyone strikes, that they go to the gym, they eat healthy, they feel good in the real world, and then they just spend half of their time in the sim or in video games that are super immersive, virtual reality, and they just strike a really good balance. That's obviously also an option. But there will always be those subset of people who just like go all in. Their real life kind of deteriorates around them. You guys might not realize this, but a lot of people working at the highest levels of AI and tech, they don't believe that humans are inherently better than any other species. A lot of people who are at the forefront of this technological revolution and the AI advancement, they genuinely do not believe that humans are more valuable than machines or AI. I think this will pose potentially a problem with the average person, the average American, who believes that humans are more valuable than other species or at least machines and AI. For example, Elon Musk, he met with, I forget the guy's name, but I think he was really high up in Google, and they had like a dinner meeting. And Elon was talking about preserving the human race and making sure that humans and AI are symbiotic and that they integrate and humans are prioritized above machines. And this guy thought Elon was crazy for having this viewpoint. He basically called Elon speciesist. And this wasn't just a random guy. This was a guy who was really high up, or the CEO of Google. And they had this kind of like, Elon basically was like, I don't want to collaborate with this guy because he doesn't even believe humans are more valuable than machines. And we might not realize that this is a belief that a lot of the people high up in tech hold, but it is true. This is what they believe. Most of human history was about survival and figuring out how we were going to kill this animal and feed the village, or how we were going to get a good crop yield and make sure everyone was fed and hopefully have some left over to sell in the markets and have enough money basically to just keep eating and surviving. Now we're struggling with abundance and technological growth. The problem we're facing right now is inherently a good problem because it's a problem of unlimited freedom and unlimited distractions. Until I figure out or am convinced that AI is the Antichrist or something like that, which it might be, I'm not sure yet. I'm all for change, growth, abundance, because here's the upside. The upside is we're going to have more abundance and more resources to tackle these problems than we've ever had before. So for me, and probably for a lot of people watching this, getting in shape, building a business, creating a life that you're proud of, that's the game. That's the game that we're playing and that we want to continue to play. So for me, I do prioritize humans over technology, and they are more valuable than machines. And I think it will get a bit more nuanced as machines and AI progress, but I will always hold that view because I'm a Christian and I believe that God created humans in his image and we created machines or AIs, so they are not inherently as valuable or more valuable because they won't have the image of God, which is just my opinion. Technology should be a partner, not a ruler. We need to use it to build amazing lives, not to escape from them. So overall, I'm extremely hopeful, but as things progress, we need to ask ourselves this question. Do I have the soul of a slave or the soul of a free man?